Thank you everyone for joining again today for UMNYAMA, which you all by know it's an event, virtual event organized by Young Hearts and supported by Hexidexy. So, and the aim behind having this program is that in this time of pandemic, when we are not able to travel or have physical shows, and we are because of which we must be going through different anxieties and uncertainties. So at this time it is a great way to join from people around the world, and they are trying to bring in artists, writers, philosophers, thinkers, activists to come together and share their cultural journey through this virtual platform, which is very important at this current moment for all of us, and we all are joining each other and knowing each other through this virtual platform. And we should take it positively that because of this, we are able to connect to people from all over the country, even around the world. And today is the fourth day of this event. And in the last few days, we have seen some fabulous performances. And yesterday also, we had a very intense presentation and a conversation with Anupam Sekia on his performance. And he talked about spectatorship and the body. And I must say, today's presentation will be also around body and identity kind of things. And today we have also a very interesting artist, Vivekananda. And he is an interdisciplinary artist from Mangalore. He did his bachelor's in visual art from College of Fine Arts, Bangalore, specializing in art history. Uh, so he completed Young India Fellowship in 2018. It's a postgraduate diploma in liberal studies from Ashoka University, which is in Sonipat. So there he was also the curator and co-founding member of Ashoka Art Gallery in the Ashoka University. We will be happy to know from him today if he can share some of his experiences from the fellowship and how the Ashoka Art Gallery came in. And in Vivekananda, in his works, Vivekananda uses different visual and performative mediums to translate his queerness and documents his yearnings, dissent, and curiosity by weaving them all together into a narrative and highlighting the obvious and abstract interconnectedness between them. His work is an inquiry into bridging the self and the other, ephemeral and the eternal, which is the title of this today's presentation. So he will explain more while during the presentation. His art is a composite of stories, we can say, desires and memories. A lot of his art practice stems from automatism, which is very sounds very interesting to me. So we will like to know more from him. His process of creation is that of an obscure ritual through which he performs himself with an attempt to piece together and understand the human condition. He also believes he is a tree. So, and currently Vivekananda is enrolled in an IGNOU online PG diploma in folk and cultural studies. So that's very interesting description of Vivekananda, his bio. We can see so many things coming together, his interest, his education, his artwork presentation, everything is very diverse. So it will be very interesting to know from Vivekananda on his works. And right now he will be presenting and explaining on his process and works. And later on, by the end of his presentation, we can have a little bit conversation and the audience can also join at the end. Thank you. Over to you, Vivekanand.
Thank you so much, Pranamita. That was it's really wonderful to be here right now. First of all, I think I would like to thank Young Hearts and Hexidexy Collective and you for providing me with this opportunity. Like you said, these pandemic times are quite uncertain times, but it's brought a lot of us together in ways that we probably could not otherwise. Uh, so yeah, to just start off with, I think, the first image that's here, because uh, in a way this encapsulates my journey. Uh, that's been the predominant search through my works, or through being me, so far. This question of the self and the other, that's been a very central question for me since my early childhood, and the understanding has uh, you know enhanced over the years. So I grew up in this countryside. So one of the major influences that I had in my childhood was from my grandparents and my great grandmother. So I lived with them. So I grew up around a lot of stories. I grew up around a lot of mythological stories, folklores, and songs, and which had a lot of interesting characters. And I also spent a lot of my time with the animals that were around where I lived, and the trees that were around, or the clouds. So I developed this certain curiosity quite early in childhood, about looking at things around through the eyes of stories, because that is how I was introduced to the idea of things that are around me. So I think through this work here, it somehow captures this moment where I constantly yearn to merge with the things that are around me. So I use a lot of symbols in my artworks, like say the symbols of fish, or say turtles, or clouds. So they're kind of like recurrent symbology, and this is something that's developed like a visual dictionary over the years. And so I try to incorporate them in whatever mediums that I use. Uh, so I think to move to the next image, just 1 second, sorry. Yeah. So I was really fascinated with mythology and stories, like I initially mentioned. So there's been a lot of influence from a lot of uh, 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 you know folklores that were being sung around me, or say and somehow I wanted to fit my existence in these worlds. And just 1 second, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I constantly yearn to connect myself into this larger narrative of things that exist around me. So I think I started building up stories, like building up fictional universes in my head since childhood. And for some reason, collages and these very obscure rituals really appeal to me. I grew up around cultures where there were Theyyam practices. Okay, Theyyam practices is a form of ritualistic performance where certain kind of spirits are believed to enter into the bodies of individuals, and there is an elaborate ceremony that goes around it. So growing up with these kind of narratives, somewhere I try to internalize them uh, in my interaction with the everyday world as well. So one of the things that I would do, I really was fascinated by the idea of funerals and graves, and this is something I've been doing, you know, experimenting with since I was a kid. So whenever I'd find a dead bird or a dead insect, I would create like a grave around it, and have this elaborate ritual around it. So I think somehow this yearning to connect with the things around me uh, forced me to develop different languages, and I think it reflects in the lot of works that I did over time. So these are some of my early works. So when I started off, I was really influenced by symbolism. So I would try to incorporate a lot of the things that I was feeling or experiencing through certain visual symbols, and and composing them together into images. So I did a lot of these things, I think, in my early years. So again, a lot of my work in a way is a type of a self-portrait, because I personally believe that whatever I create has to come from a place of my experience or my genuine experience. Uh, so so somehow I try, and even if I don't try, unconsciously I do end up incorporating a lot of elements from my experience of the subjects that I'm experiencing. So I think this is also an attempt for me to chronicle uh, different periods of my life. So that's also one of the uh, purpose that my artworks have served. So mediums have always been secondary to me. So I usually work with, say, photography, or say painting, or collages, or say performance. So it's not really a clear cut division between these things that I follow when I create art. So it's a lot about chronicling and documenting the present in which I am at that particular point. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I am really intrigued by nature, and ecosophy is a subject that really interests me, because uh, somehow the the upbringing, or say the education that we're given, is somehow making us distant from things that are around us. You know, it's a very uh, individual centric approach that we have about looking at things. And I think connecting with the nature, connecting with the larger uh, uh, universe that's around us, be it the rain or the oceans or the trees. So I think that is one of the uh, things I try to do, and things I try to become, you know, when I create different artworks. I try to uh, visualize my 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 existence through these natural entities. And I think that really does help. That definitely has helped me better understand and connect with the things that are around me. And a lot of my artwork also incorporates these elements from nature around. Uh, so one of a few of the primary themes, I think, which I explore in my artworks is desire, is deviance, is the idea of identity, of 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 you know of a certain uh, queerness that I experience, because I, in a way, have been living a dual life for most of my life. You know, I lived a dual life because somehow certain ways in which I wasn't accepted by the norm. So there was always a parallel universe that I was constructing, so that I could live in these queer, deviant ways freely. So I think art definitely helped me in this process. And I believe that I perform myself when I create art. So I think in this work, so this is a series of photographs, which which basically was an attempt to capture the angst. So angst is a very crucial theme in has always been a very crucial theme, because there's always been this growing beast within, uh, for the lack of better words, uh, which which needed a certain way to morph. Needed a way, needed an outlet. So I think with with performance, I found that outlet. I found that space where I could truly just uh, express myself and experiment with different mediums, on the way. So identity, like I previously mentioned, has been a very crucial element for me, because growing up, I was not one of those individuals who uh, ideally fit the norm of being, So I carried a lot of that shame, a lot of that guilt, and over the years, especially in the past 3 to 4 years, I think this work is titled "Body Freedom and Fuck You Patriarchy." So I think most of my works, at least so far, I still believe that I am very much in the beginning, infancy stage of experimentation with my art. So I think these are still, in a way, a conversation with these topics, and me trying to externalize whatever experiences that I held, that I have been uh, constantly experiencing, and to visually translate them into a certain medium. Uh, it's a very liberating and cathartic process. So I think I do try to translate these angst through my body, through my uh, uh, through different say postures, or say different using different light techniques, or say so I think using the body as a tool to translate my angst, to translate my sexuality, to translate my queerness. I think I've been doing that over the years. So, parallelly to this, what I mean by automatism, what Pranamita mentioned earlier, is I have been doing this from a long time, where I just have certain mediums or materials that I would like to use, and sometimes I just let myself instinctively do whatever is coming to me. So it's not pre-planned, it's not predetermined. I don't know where it is going to go. So a lot of my paintings, especially, have at least 6 to 7 layers. So I paint over and over and over again. So it's in a way trying to translate whatever is happening in my head, or the conversations that are happening within me. I try to uh, externalize it and put it onto a sheet of paper, or a canvas. And I like to just uh, uh, channelize whatever comes to me in that point. So through this, I think looking back at these works, a lot has been revealed to me. So there are a lot of you know repetitive totems that I earlier mentioned, that I constantly use in my artworks. Certain colors and certain themes that are recurrent. So I try, and I think through paintings, this is one of the primary things that I like to experiment with, because I think it gives me that fluid freedom to experiment with these things. Uh, so yeah, I worked a lot. This was a certain phase when I worked with a lot of totemic symbols, and following an automated process, where where I was chronicling the things that, say, in terms of the things I was reading, or in terms of the things I was uh, seeing around me. Because when I did my undergraduate in art history, I was introduced to a lot of different cultures and different art techniques, different traditions. And I think it always baffled me, because like I earlier mentioned, uh, ritualistic practices, or say very endemic practices, always have intrigued me. So I think these works in a certain phase that I made, where my attempt to capture and my attempt to have a conversation with these different disciplines that I was constantly, coming into encounter, what that I was encountering. So yeah. So, dreams have also been a very prominent theme and prominent area of inspiration for me. There is a lot of, again, a lot of symbols and a lot of tactile emotions that I experience in dream that I try to translate and chronicle. So this is something I've been doing over years, and it's taken various forms, from poetry to digital art to sketches to photography. So it's a constant attempt to document my experiences, and I have not really been a conventional artist. Uh, uh, like a I've not presented my works anywhere, or I've not been a part of residencies. So it's my art has mostly been personal, and it's just been in my personal space, and probably a few other people may have seen this, but apart from that, it's a chronicle of the self, and constantly my yeah, my documentation of this. Yeah. So probably I would like to read a small piece of something that I had written. Uh, so so words are a very play a very crucial role in my process, because I like to have journals, art journals, in which I like to put the thoughts that come to me about. Again, these thoughts vary from from random musings to deliberations on concepts, or maybe political issues, or say social issues. So I think it's I am constantly trying to make sense of everything that is scrambled around me, which I think is quite evident to the way I'm talking to you as well right now. It's a lot of scrambling. So it's a constant process of trying to make sense of these things, and it's mostly made sense to me, looking back at these things. So I think a major portion of my work makes sense that way. I think a smaller portion is deliberately planned and pre-decided. So something small that I just wanted to read out. Uh, I saw visions. I see things happening all at once. A lot of it. I feel no sadness or hope. I just see. Wait, that is not true. I feel both the pain and the faith. I see what it is doing to everything. It is all chaos. But where is this chaos heading to? I know not. I think, then I think, and then I think some more until all of it becomes me. Roots and belongings and prayers and descent, with words and all that is human, without words and nothing human. I see my place, I see what I am. I smell how I truly smell. I then translate. Lend me thy garment, sky. I refuse to feel naked with these clothes on. So, it's a lot of. I mean, this is just a random page that I picked up from my journal. It's uh, so there's a lot of constant conversation that I try to keep having with things that are that 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 I experience in the moment, and I try to use metaphors and use symbols to somehow encapsulate them, and carry them forward. I think the themes of attachment and detachment has been a primary underlining tone as well in most of my works. Uh, So this is an image from a performance which me and a friend of mine did. Her name is Rapsamar Kaur Ahluwalia. So she wrote the poem and I was performing. And so we also used, say, the projector to have images. We used images uh, that were politically significant in ways. So one of the images that's in the background here is this image of two men embracing, kissing each other with India and Pakistan flag. And the image on the right on top is this image from the Bengal famine. The one below is where the Tibetan monk immolated himself. So this whole performance was a commentary on it was a commentary on society and the the nature, the way in which society confines us, or say the way in which society suffocates us. So this whole performance was in a way trying to reaffirm the statement that I am a human, irrespective of all these shackles and boundaries and things that you are imposing on us, and how complex it is to be a human, and how simplistic a reading that we are constantly told to hold on to. So I think this performance was in a way trying to question this rigidity that the society imposes on you. So I also a lot of my works are also inspired from texts, different poems, and different artists, different paintings. So this one here is inspired from Hamlet. Uh, so I engaged with different forms of text that say I read Hamlet, and then I watched a few movies that were made on Hamlet, and then after coming up to a central question, after engaging with this text for a long time, I wanted to consolidate it and create something out of it. So I'll just read out what the you know the so hands outstretched like stems of cacti in full bloom, eyes shut, wild croons. Fate once sealed in wombs by slithering snails carving tributaries. Not to be, not to be, not to be. An ancient chant of breath, sweat, erections, and timestamps, all moving with the river. Not to be, not to be, not to be. So again, there was this one central idea that I wanted to explore, and so this particular series has a lot of other images, but I just chose these three because it somehow captured the whole essence for me. Uh, so so again, it's in a way trying to engage with these texts, and try to translate them into a new medium, and this is something that I created during the lockdown, because the virtual I really wanted to experiment more with the digital medium and with performance. So yeah, this was inspired from Hamlet, and the one right after this one is inspired from Macbeth, another play written by Shakespeare. So in this, what I'm trying to do is basically trying to. I was really curious about how Othello's experience would be once he dies. He's killed his wife, and he's also dead. And I really wanted to understand how Othello would feel if he would wake up, after his death, and what would really go on inside his head. So I initially began with this. I recorded an entire elaborate performance, and through it I was trying to embody and become Macbeth in ways. And so yeah, so this is what the essence of the statement that I came up with, around which the whole series is about. This was about: behold, awake from sleep wanders he had blood on his hands. Watch, watch. So again, taking different themes like these, taking small ideas or concepts, I try to uh, explore these texts and engage with them in ways. So this is another a composition of few digital series that I worked over the past few months, and all of these in ways are documenting my state of mind, my experience at that particular point. Like I'd probably just talk about the first one. The first one was made when I was so I had dengue a while back, in 2019, sorry, 2018, and I was really unwell, and my my whole physical and mental state was really drained. And somehow I wanted to capture what I was feeling and experiencing back then. And somehow I've always felt that words are limiting. I mean, it limits me in ways. So I think this form of visual journaling. So I made this first image in the hospital when I was there. Or say the last work in the bottom is basically my conversation with my younger self. And so yeah, it's a lot about so a lot of the symbols that I've used, like the birds, or say the trees, or say the little butterflies or ladybugs. So I have there is a certain symbolic meaning that I have assigned to them, and somehow try to codify them in these compositions. Um, so I've worked on a lot of collaborative projects as well. This project was called Gender of the Moon. It's a very special project because I worked on this at Ashoka University along with a few other friends of mine. Uh, so we made a film on a short experimental film on toxic masculinity, and we were trying to explore this theme of a heteronormative man, and what happens, what goes on inside this person's mind, and how this person is subjected to behave and to act in these certain manner. Uh, uh, so so this film further on extended into a curated performance where we had different artists performing in different mediums. Like there was spoken poetry, there was a monologue, there was stand-up comedy, uh, there was action painting. So I think through all of this, we were trying to create a dialogue about this theme of toxic masculinity. And we engage with a lot of different mediums to talk about this particular theme. Similarly, there have been other collaborations which I did uh, with different people, over different uh, themes or different events or uh, different propagandas or different causes. So one of the yeah, I think before I go to that, I'll probably just quickly talk about this. So childhood has been a very important theme in my works as well. I have been using a lot of motifs and symbolisms that encapsulate childhood in my works as well. So yeah, I think I'm going to walk through a little quickly. So yeah, this was a very this is a very dear project to me because I got to engage with a few of my friends from Kashmir and 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 help them create these visuals. So it was a challenge for me for many reasons because I was an outsider and I constantly felt this sense of distance in terms of representation. How do I do it, how do I go about it? But I think over time I've realized that art serves different purposes, and sometimes we're mere vessels who just translate and capture certain things. I cannot call these works as mine because these are not my works. These are mere representations of the that stemmed out from the conversation or from the from the information that was shared with me from someone who belongs to the community. And I think it's similar to this is similar to that one where I worked this with this friend of mine uh, on this project. So I think in a way, right now where I am in terms of my practices is I am trying to assimilate all of these things because uh, I I've been engaging with a lot of different disciplines, and I have not really had the time to, or I've not really given the time to actually sit and and work on series. And I think that is where I am right now, where I'm really looking forward to assimilating all these conversations, all these symbols and experiences into more cohesive and meaningful art projects. So something of that similar nature was this graphic novel that I started off. It's called the Maya Manthana. Where I am trying to create a certain mythological universe, and through storytelling and through through symbolisms, I am trying to create a certain world, which in a way will hold all these ideas that I've been talking about. Uh, yeah, I think I'm done for now. I think I did talk about a lot of things in uh, uh, you know which probably was a very scrambled way of me uh, putting together my works and talking about these things. But honestly, that is where I am right now. That is exactly where I am right now, and I'm trying to piece these scrambled uh, pieces into more meaningful structures. So thank you so much.
So it was a really wonderful presentation to see Vivekanand's work, and I'm also not familiar to your practice earlier, and I'm also seeing your practice for the first time. So what I can see, it's like a very diverse kind of medium, as you said, interdisciplinary. It's really interdisciplinary. There is uh, visual art, there is performance art, there is performing art as well, and film, sound, theater, everything is almost imbibed, and literature also. And that is very obvious because you have studied art history also. So this how you have trained yourself as an artist, because there were some kind of paintings also. So did you trained with your friend or on self, or you trained under some artist?
Well, so I would, as a kid, I was really fascinated with, putting things together. So at home they would have, I would see them do these rituals, or I would see rituals around. So I was really fascinated with the idea of just like putting flowers together, or like, just drawing on sand or things like that. My mother would paint, so, and she would sketch at times. So, I was intrigued by that. And in my so when I was in school, I had an art teacher, and I would like go every day in the morning. So he would teach us things like object drawing and nature drawing and all of that. But for some reason, I caught on. I don't exactly know how, but I caught on to this idea of making symbolic drawings, or say making very abstract paintings. And my teacher would always ask me, like, why do you make things like these? I didn't have any explanation back then. I just wanted to like just 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 encapsulate, like journal in a way. So I think that was my initial teacher. And later on in undergrad as well, we had my first year we had to study like the basics of painting.
All
So
right.
even post that, like I think I saw a lot of visuals, and I was really fascinated with how the visuals were made. So I did try and experiment. I'm, I think my curiosity just made me experiment with
Of
uh, styles. Yeah.
And later on, you got the answer from your childhood why you kept taking those symbols and all those things.
Yeah, it's I think it's a circle, it's a cyclic journey for me right now, because a lot of the things that I'm doing right now is in a way trying to revisit the childhood, and like try and recreate those
So,
practices and
so what I have seen in your practice, it's a lot of self and identity and your whole body, and about mostly about the self. And you are already told that you are not participating in many exhibitions or residencies. It's like more like your personal diary. And as you have also mentioned, and it's very evident that uh, this whole expression of art, and especially the performances that give you an opportunity to express your inner like hidden all the questions or the guilt or the all those things, to take it out in certain way through your body, through your expression, so that is what is very visible. So there is a kind of activism in your work also. So is this conscious, or you are not aware of that?
Well, I think a lot of my initial works were veiled and masked in multiple ways, because like I said, I constantly lived this dual. I mean, it's a simplistic way to put it that I lived a dual existence, but in a way, I was trying to live this in this one certain way, which was acceptable and the norm. And there was this other side of me, which was somehow suppressed for a long time, but it's still, elements from that did keep creeping up, and it became visible in my works. But especially in the past, I think 3 to 4 years, I have created a lot of my works very consciously. And say even the themes, and say the subjects, or say the kind of people, or say the kind of issues that I have tried to address in these works are very conscious and deliberate attempts. So I think I am moving from that space of abstraction and confusion towards more concrete.
Con-
Uh, yeah.
Right. So, and you have mentioned that your paintings are very spontaneous, but in your performances, people were not able to see all your videos and all, but there is a lot of sound, lighting, poetry, music. So, how do you plan work on those? Are they very structured, planned, rehearsed? How, and you collaborate with other
Yeah.
performers?
Yeah, so I really like collaborating with other individuals, and just so it's more like, I think when we work on projects like these, like the film that I was supposed to share here, it came alive in one night. It was just a group of us sitting together, and we had to do something, so we had that in mind. But I think it was more of exploring as we went through it. It evolved into something. And I think, again, that doesn't mean that it's a spontaneous creation, because there is a lot of premeditation that goes into all these works. I think why we like a certain color, or why we choose a certain frame, has a lot of things that precedes the actual moment in which we choose it. But but I think a lot of collaborations that I make are also of this nature, with people. But in certain situations, I think it's different, where there's more deliberate planning, there is more structuring, thinking about what the result needs to be in the end. So there is a result oriented approach, but I think most of my practice has been this automatic, just catalyst coming together and just creating things.
As you said, mentioned that obscure rituals and kind of
Yeah, yeah. It is a form of obscure ritual, and rituals have always fascinated me, because this. I think it's one of the spaces that we get to experience this bizarreness of being humans. Otherwise, we are constantly trying to be in a certain way, talk in meaningful manners, and behave in manner in ways uh, that is relatable, or say understandable or decipherable to people. But I think with rituals, what happens is there is a scope for this madness, uh, for these things that are not normally given a voice to take forms. And I think that a lot of creativity, I believe, stems from that point.
you shared a slide where we see your back and there was Bengal famine and other things on the backdrop.
I didn't catch that.
You showed a slide of a performance where you were wearing a dhoti, and on the back there were slide projection of Bengal famine and other different things. So that was a very structured performance. So was it in some performative place? How, where it was? Where
So
did you?
this was in Ashoka University. It was a collaboration with me and my friend Rabsimar. So we started this project called Gender of the Moon, uh, which initially began with the film, but
And yeah, there are a lot of films in your YouTube with this name, Gender of the Moon, right?
yeah, yeah. So we had like a series of things. The second project what we worked on was called Emotions of Budgemen. So where we engaged with the kids from Savarpur Government School, that was around Ashoka University, and we curated, say, performances. We worked on film with them. We created some art installation out of waste with. So I think. Yeah, it's. I think these were very deliberate, planned projects in ways, but but we did leave space and scope for a lot of spontaneous things to happen as well. So it was not. But again, it was a completely structured 1 month project, like the
Hi.
second that I mentioned. So yeah.
So, before ending, I would like to also, we are coming towards the end of the time. So, can you tell about the fascination for the trees and how you imagine yourself as a tree, about that story?
Yeah, well, like I think it was quite evident from the things that I mentioned. Like I absolutely love stories, and there is a constant narrative that I like to hold on to. So this narrative of being a tree, I think, came to me early in childhood, when I somehow wanted to escape being me. I tried. I wanted to externalize myself and take some time off and become something else. So a tree always fascinated me. Like growing up, there was this huge jackfruit tree that was in front of my house, and I remember talking to it. So since then, I developed this habit of talking to trees, or talking to flowers, and these things, and in a way, I think it gives me it makes me feel more connected with the things around. And yeah, I mean, it's, I think at the end of the day we are a product of what we believe in, and everyone believes in something or the other, and I believe that I'm.
Definitely. And before ending, I would also like to know a little bit about the fellowship, about Young India Fellowship, because I have also heard about that and about the Ashoka University, but it may help people to know and apply how you got that and what are the things there.
So Young India Fellowship is an absolutely brilliant program. So it's a 1 year postgraduate diploma that's offered at Ashoka University. In fact, I worked along with in the program team in the past 1 year there. Uh, so it's we so the course basically, you are offered over 20 plus courses that range from filmmaking to gender and sexuality to Shakespeare to physics to a course on mathematics, and so many different forms of so many different disciplines are taught to you. And even the people that come there, the fellows that are a part of this program, come from diverse backgrounds. So it's like a laboratory that's basically open for a lot of innovation. So there's a lot of creative projects, there's a lot of collaboration, there's a lot of brainstorming that happens in this 1 year. And there's a lot of mentorship programs. You get hands-on experience with say working with different sectors. And I think it truly, the program truly showed me and reaffirmed to me that how important it is for us to be different things at once. One cannot just be an engineer, one cannot just be a doctor, one cannot just be a sociologist. You need to truly understand and interact with the society. You will need to have a combination of these things. And I think having this interdisciplinary approach is what Young India Fellowship is all about. And it is definitely a program which everyone should definitely check, and I highly recommend people joining it.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think that was a really wonderful to know from about Young India Fellowship as well as your art practice. So now, if Satadru can say if we are able to play the video, or else we can just end it and people can here share the link. Those who are interested can see the video.
Yeah,
And
I just sorry. I just wanted to quickly just thanks Hexy Dexy Box Collective and Young Arts again, because this is new for me. This is very new, and I think it was visible to all of you that I did skip around in a few places. But again, I'm really grateful for this opportunity, because a lot of budding artists and a lot of artists uh, who are not familiar with the conventional space are being provided with platforms like these. So I'm really grateful, and yeah, I had a good time.
yeah, thank you. And thanks from the audience. And if from the audience would like to comment something before we say goodbye, or Satadru would like to say something.
Very beautiful presentation. You already give the in XXC box. So all the time people say that nowadays everything going to be digital, but the manual people's going to be a digital format is uh, typical, very tough job. So the very fantastic job, like performance going to be digital, and your action going to be digital, and your illustration, the manual drawing going to be transferred in a digital format. That is interesting things to you. When I first get your portfolio through Chaturi, so we thankful to review your work, and I hope so that we can work more. I already told you, so we can give more opportunity. And thank you so much to Pranamita. So interesting question. I love the questions. You are already favorite to me, you and Vikas. And Umesh sir is a very good initiative to do this kind of programs. I'm very happy to associate with this box. young heart, really, really young and fresh, mind-blowing whole job. And please join us tomorrow, day after tomorrow. I think more fabulous program going to come up. Thank you so much for my side.